I had to say that being a product person, it actually allows me to be very creative in my job because I am forced to actually try to find new solutions for different types of problems. Hey, Juan here. In today's video, we are going to talk about creativity at work. I love this topic because this is going to help you solve a problem, solve a need that your customers might be having, or actually help you drive and plan a project that you are having internally within the company, no matter what that is. Creativity is a topic that sometimes people overlook in their daily job and tend to end up doing what everybody else is doing or repeating what their competitors are doing. And this is not going to make them stand out towards those competitors. So in today's video, we are going to talk about some tips and ways of actually building this environment to be creative within your work, and what are the prerequisites to help you be more creative in your work. So the first thing that you need to do in order to develop creativity in your work is that you actually have to identify a problem or a need. This problem or need can be either internally or it can be a problem from your users. Depends on what is your point of view. Am I trying to improve something within our company? Am I trying to improve the ways of working? Then you are trying to look for potential issues or potential problems or needs within the organization. If you are looking into how to build a new business, into how to build new products, then you have to focus on identifying that problem for the users or that need that the users have. Once you have identified a need, you actually have to familiarize yourself very deeply with that need or that problem. This means that you want to understand what the customer needs really are and how they usually have solved this problem in the past, just to understand what is their journey in a way when they are coming around this problem. This will help you identify how you can help in avoiding this kind of problem or need in the future. So here, one of the things to pay very much attention to is what are the pains and what are the kind of emotions that these people are actually going through when they go through this kind of problem. Once you have a deep understanding of the problem and understanding of those needs from the users, you actually can start ideating, the process of creating a new solution to that problem. Here it's going to be very important to build also the right framework in order to do this. But what you want to achieve when you are doing ideation, when you are being creative, is that you want to actually brainstorm and try to figure out what are those potential solutions for the problems that the users are having. And in a moment, we will discuss how to build this framework for you to actually be able to be creative and do this ideation phase. And you want to avoid copying others. There are many solutions out there on how people are solving those problems that they are having, those needs that they are having. You don't want to copy those ones. You want to think outside the box. And it's very easy to say this, I'm aware, but you have to actually try to take a perspective of how can you solve the same problem in a different way, and try to solve it in a very different way from any of the other potential solution providers that there are in that space. A very good example of somebody providing a very different solution is Tesla when they started producing the first EV vehicles in the market, that they were sold quite widely compared to the previous ones, which were very niche and very focused for just a very specific type of users, whereas Tesla was trying to address the whole market. But this is a good way of thinking that you have to actually try to figure out what are those solutions, what are those needs of the users, and how can you solve them in a creative way, in a better way than what has been provided earlier. These moments where you actually spend time to ideate, to be creative, it can be organized in many ways. It can be just you, yourself, me, there, sitting and trying to concentrate and figure out what are those problems. For me, typically, what it has worked the best is work together with my team, sit down, and actually have workshops where we actually have defined the problem, we have identified a need, and then we start brainstorming on what could be the potential solutions. But in order to have a session that is successful, whether it's a workshop or if it's just yourself working, you really have to have some prerequisites and some kind of framework so people actually can be really creative. Because many times we as humans tend to not allow each other's creativity, especially when it comes to work. We can be very rigid and very framed in our approach that we don't want to change the ways of working. Creativity, it actually has to be a very open frame that people can be able to express and bring ideas, no matter if they're good or not. There's really no bad idea. All of them are ideas that need to be then evaluated and try to figure out which one is the best one for the users. First of all, you actually had to define a proper time to sit down, relax and think. And this rarely can be done in a half an hour session. This can be hours. So it has to have the right timing and the right concentration period. And this might be that you just book a meeting of 2-3 hours, whatever it is that you need, where you are just going to dedicate yourself to build and find those solutions. Second, you have to allow yourself to fail. And I don't mean here that you just bring good or bad ideas, or within the workshop, there's going to be a lot of ideas. There's not necessarily a good or a bad idea as such in this kind of creative workshop. What I mean by allowing yourself to fail is that you would allow yourself that potentially you have this workshop and you have not come up with a good conclusion. And this will need more work. This is something that you have to allow yourself to fail and your team. So don't put the pressure that it is a must, that we really have to have this done within those 2-3 hours. It might be that it needs subsequent sessions, because in some cases you might not have all the information that you need to find that solution. Or it might be that you might have all the understanding of the problem, but people are, for some reason, they are not in the right mindset. You have to let creativity grow. This is something that is not so easy to do, gotta admit. Next, you really have to be able to focus yourself and let the rest of your team, if you are making a workshop, focus themselves. You really have to get in the zone. You have to really let people have their own time to think about those potential ideas, about those potential solutions that you are looking for. This means that within your session, you're potentially going to actually time box some moments where you dedicate those ones to people just to think. You might have time boxes of 15 minutes or 30 minutes to actually let people think about different topics and come up with ideas on how to solve those topics that they can be discussed later on. But you have to let people be able to get in the zone, get the work, concentrate, and do this brain dump of the ideas that they think that could help solving the problems. And finally, once you have let people focus, find their ideas, you have to let them share. You have to let them openly share and don't interrupt. This applies to you yourself if you are working alone. Don't judge your ideas. There's no bad ideas. You will evaluate them later on. Just let everybody speak. Let everybody document and explain the reasons why they think that an idea could be a potential approach. Even if they might be themselves thinking that this is not the greatest idea ever. But there might be a point. So let everybody talk, let everybody speak, no matter their personality. Let people speak freely and let people explain what are their approaches here. And finally, it's great if you are able to have a person that is actually moderating the session. Typically, this in Agile is known as the Scrum Master, and this could be something like, in a way, a retro, or it could be a brainstorming session or some kind of creative session. It's good to have somebody that is actually moderating the session, because then this person is just there to make sure that everybody has the time to do the work, that everybody has the time to bring the ideas, that everybody has the time to expose those ideas and explain them, and there is no interruptions from others in the team. This will also help you to build culture in the company for people to leave a space to others to express themselves and to explain what do they think. If done this way, you're just showing to the people in your team or to yourself that you can just think about the wildest ideas. They might be great or not. They might be the best idea ever, or they might not. But it doesn't matter. You just want to be able to identify all those potential ideas. And this is what being creative means, that you let people express themselves and people actually to be able to think and to ideate new potential solutions for a problem. You will have to have different sessions to actually find which ones are the best ideas out of all those ones that you might have had out of that session. What are the big things when you can have this kind of sessions, especially if you have it with several people, is that you can identify from different people what are the commonalities. And this is important by the end of the meeting or in the end of the workshop, that you try to identify the common themes that you see with the ideas that people are bringing to the table. Being creative is great. Being creative is probably some of the sessions that I like the most to work with my team. In many ways, it builds trust within the team to actually be able to express ideas, even if they know that they're not the best ideas ever. It builds also the relationship within the team and the culture of actually trying to bring good ideas and thinking, and if you think from the business point of view, you are actually trying to identify either ways of working or potential customer needs or potential products that you could be building for your customers or for new customers in the future that will make a big difference with the approaches that your competitors are taking at this moment. Sadly, most of the time when I talk with people, since that people tend to think that being creative is not something that you can achieve in a 9-to-5 job. I agree that some jobs are going to have much more potential when it comes to be creative than others. But you have to remember that there's going to be always ways of improving your job. This allows you to be creative. I have to say that being a product person, it actually allows me to be very creative in my job, because I am forced to actually try to find new solutions for different types of problems or needs. This actually helps, and I find fascinating about my job. It's something that I really like, to get to know those customer needs, to get to know those customers, to understand what problems are they having, and try to figure out how can I help them to make their lives better, to make their works better, or to make their companies even more profitable. Do you think that you're a creative person? Do you think that you are not very creative? Do you think that your work environment is not creative? Do you think that you could change it? Comment below and let me know. If you like the video, I would like you to please hit the like button. It's not a lot of effort and it helps massively the channel. I will see you in the next video, and as always, remember to stay safe.